Hello, my name is Morgana and I am a Canadian expat living in China. I post quite a bit on social media and I have a kind of a wide variety of friends from all over the world, and been getting quite a few inquiries lately because as I'm posting on social media, people are seeing that I'm moving around quite easily, no masks, life is pretty normal here. So I'm getting a lot of inquiries as to how China is doing it. How come we're able to live this COVID-free life while the rest of the world is kind of going up in flames? I'm sorry, guys. So that's why I decided to make this video because I've had so many inquiries. So just giving some reasons why I think China has been so successful in quelling COVID and keeping it under control here in China. So one of the things is they closed the borders on early March 28th, and so people were banned from coming into China as foreigners, but of course Chinese citizens could come back and forth. But we were quarantined and quite strictly quarantined. So our quarantine was monitored, 2 weeks in our apartments or apartment or sorry, a hotel quarantine, where you get tested quite frequently, at least 3 times. You have health people checking in on you. There's usually a camera on your door. My door was taped shut. I returned March 17th of this year and was under quarantine for 2 weeks. So they closed the borders early, and they've kept those borders quite strictly enforced. So the Chinese have been able to move back and forth because, of course, any country cannot ban their own citizens. So as soon as somebody comes in, they're strictly quarantined and tested, and then they're, of course, not allowed out until they finish the quarantine with a COVID-free 3 tests. So that's one of the ways that they've done it. And the other ways that they've done it is it's quite easy to get tested here. So I know for myself, there's multiple hospitals or health units in the area. You can go for a fairly low cost. I go to a hospital with English speaking, so it costs a little bit more, about $40 Canadian to get tested. And I had to do that quite a few times this past summer because I was traveling around China for the summer as an expat teacher. And so every time I traveled, I had to have a COVID-free test. So, I would just go down to the closest hospital, um, pay for my test, go get tested in and out in like 10 or 15 minutes. 12 hours later, the results would show up on my phone. And then I could use those results to travel as I took flights, trains, travel from province to province. They would always want to see our green Soikang health code. So that's another way that China has looked after uh, quelling COVID and keeping it under control. So this health code, of course, is on your phone and monitors your ins and outs and can quickly see if you've ever been in a red zone. That hasn't been an issue for me at all, because there's pretty much COVID free here. And so that green health code is quite important, and they want to see it kind of everywhere. But it was more early on. Right now, we don't really need to use it anymore. Um, but we have had some pop-up um, little outbreaks, and it's mostly around port cities. And what's happening is that COVID comes in on frozen seafood, and the seafood is, I guess that's a kind of the right environment for COVID, up to -20 apparently, and it's coming from mostly from South America. And so some port people in the ports have been getting COVID, and also along some of the border provinces have also been getting COVID. So what happens is China has like this kind of COVID dream team that swoops in whenever there's a little bit of an outbreak or even a diagnosis of COVID. And this team has professionals from all different aspects that completely control the outbreak. And just to give you an idea of how they look after it. So this last example, there was two port workers that got COVID, and they tested their first contacts. Then they went wider, second contacts of everybody, and then wider, third contacts of everybody. And if you can believe it, that totaled 800,000 tests. So this is another way that China has been looking after keeping COVID under control. Um, the other thing is that the China is also very strict regulations on airlines coming in and out of China. And they've given them this actually really interesting penalty bonus kind of system. So if an airline is flights out of different places, so let's say they have a flight coming out of Ethiopia and they allow them once a week, so they can come in once a week. If they have like 4 or 5 and under COVID cases that come in on that flight, of course, everybody's quarantined anyway, then things are fine. They continue with once a week. If they get 0 COVID cases for 3 weeks in a row or however it goes, then they get 2 flights a week. If they have 8 or more COVID cases come in on a flight, automatically flights coming from that city are banned for at least 3 weeks. So it's kind of this bonus reward system that they've given these airlines, and it's really put the onus on the airlines to monitor who they're allowing onto their flights. So that's actually a really cool way that they've done it. So yeah, so China has really looked after its citizens and allowed the economy to resume. A bit of a test that the China had over the fall break was we had a autumn festival break for a week where 550 million Chinese people traveled within that week, if you can even begin to wrap your head around that number within China. And apparently they said after it was like a bit of a test run to see if there would have come any outbreaks or anything come from that, and actually nothing happened. And so if a country can allow 550 million people to travel within its borders over a span of a week and not have any issues with COVID, that's pretty amazing. So yeah, so China has done a really, really good job of keeping COVID under control and allowing the economy and the people within the country to resume, the most normal back to life, back to the way of life kind of living that we were living before. So it's pretty awesome, and I'm pretty impressed, especially as an expat living here. Take care, everybody. I'm certainly thinking about you all and looking at from afar and wishing everybody well.